This Founder Friday, I'm covering a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is, how do you deal with way too much email? How do you cut down the email that you're dealing with and spend less time on it, because it is obviously a waste of time. I don't know if you ever find yourself just like checking your email every 15 minutes and just responding to email, and then by the end of the day you realize you haven't actually gotten anything done that you were supposed to get done. So I asked a lot of entrepreneurs, some of my friends as well, how they deal with email. Obviously, as your company grows, you're going to be dealing with more and more of it. So what do you do? Well, a few tips that people gave me. Number one, don't read your email all the time. Probably the biggest thing that you could do is you have this, there's something called the Eisenhower importance matrix, and it says that like tasks are either important or not important and urgent or not urgent. Email is urgent. Like it's the kind of thing where you feel like you have to respond to it right away, but it's not always important. And what you're missing out if you're just checking your email is on the important tasks that don't seem urgent because they're not in your email. So what do? Well, first of all, when you wake up in the morning, don't look at your phone, don't open your email right away, because you are just going to be inundated with the requests of the day. Instead, keep outside of your email a running to-do list or a task list of things that you have to get done that are important, and look at that first before you look in the emails so that you know what you might be missing out on if you are just responding to your emails right away. Your emails are not a to-do list. They're a bad system for to-dos because it's not under your control. It's basically like a lot of people treat email like to-dos, but it's something that anyone can throw a task into that you can't control, and that kind of sucks. So my advice would be to batch it. I don't look at emails in the morning. I look at them in the afternoon, and I take a block of time, like a half hour or an hour, and I respond to all my emails. And I actually get to inbox zero every day. I'm a big fan of inbox zero. I only touch emails once, and I won't do it right then, but I'll usually create a task for it later, where I use Asana. I used to use Things. You can use Trello or any kind of task system. And you read an email, figure out what you need to do from that email if you have to do anything, and then you create a task for it later. So sometimes it's even respond to this person, and then I put a link to that email in the task. Sometimes it's even just read the email if it's a really long one. I recommend systems like Getting Things Done, for example. If you haven't read the book by David Allen, it's a really awesome system, and it saves you a ton of time and makes you much more efficient. Another bit of advice that I heard a lot is learn how to delegate better, or even use an assistant to read through your email. I've been doing this for a while. I actually hire virtual assistants who will go through my email and filter out the stuff that's not so relevant to me. You can do this pretty cheaply for like $5 an hour, honestly. I have sometimes like canned emails or email templates that I'll have people send out on my behalf for questions that I get very, very often. But if you don't want to, work with an assistant or delegate where you're forwarding email to other people, really simple thing that you can start to do is pull the unnecessary email out of your inbox. So there's multiple ways to do this. You can use a tool like unroll.me, which will bring together a bunch of your like newsletters or not important emails into like a digest. It'll also unsubscribe you from stuff. It'll show you every week, like we found 20 new things that you've been subscribed for, and you can go through and you can click to roll it up, or you can unsubscribe. I also create filters in Gmail for the term unsubscribe, and I will always have those go out of my inbox and archive them or put them in a different folder, because I assume if something has an unsubscribe link, then it couldn't be that important. It's something where if I have the time, I can check it out, but otherwise, not that important. I try to write shorter emails. So there's like this tool called 5 Sentences where it'll actually keep you sort of accountable to writing very short. I try not to respond to people immediately. So that's important. If people expect you to respond immediately, then you kind of feel like you have the urge to, be constantly checking your email. Instead, you should kind of be training people to not expect a response within 24 hours. That's the ideal for me. Another tip would be to replace your email communication with other easier communication channels. Like on your team, use something like Slack, or even tell people to get in touch with you through Twitter or Facebook or other places. I know it can seem a little bit like shifting the problem to another channel, so I wouldn't fully endorse that all the way, but a tool like Twitter can be a lot better for short conversation. Another thing you can do with your communication, with your emails that you're writing to actually reduce the number of emails that are getting sent out back and forth, is try to avoid email conversations where you need someone to respond and go back and forth, such as scheduling. So if you can use a scheduling app, set up something like a Doodle survey tool for getting a bunch of people's schedules together. There's a lot of different scheduling apps, but the thing that I like the most is using conditionals. So if I ask someone a question and there's like a yes or no answer, I'll actually follow up underneath by saying, if yes, then blank, or if no, then blank. So when I'm scheduling with someone, I'll say, hey, does next Wednesday 9 a.m. at this location work for you? If yeah, then great, I'll see you then. If no, respond to me and let me know what works for you. And you're avoiding a lot of different email interactions by doing that. Yeah, so those are a bunch of my bits of advice on how to avoid email overflow. If you liked it, subscribe to Founder Friday to get more videos like this. Like the video below, and also post in the comments any email tips that you have for cutting down on the amount of time that you spend on email.